How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL live stream. It feels like forever since we did one of these. It's Wednesday, the 30th of March, and it feels like it's Wednesday, the 30th of March of 2021 since we last did a stream. Last week went by decently quick, but this week seems to be going by so slow. Maybe because we know we have that urge that FPL's back on Saturday, so looking forward to it. We'll take a look at how we did in blank game week 30, which seemed like oh so long ago. We played our free hit in that, so we'll see how well we did on that. Game week 31, we'll see what we're doing for that. We'll check out our clean sheet differential picks as we normally do. And we'll also take a look at what transfers potentially I might need to make, because Trent's on the thumbnail. Is it time for Wildcard? I have him in my team, and he is potentially injured for not only this week, but also the game versus Man City, which could be a problem for them. And he could be injured for potentially a game after that as well. So, but we're still not entirely sure on the severity of it. I think they're going to try to get him back for the Man City game, but ideally you probably don't want Liverpool defense versus Man City. Both teams are probably going to score, if I had to guess, but we shall see, and we'll take a look at the transfer planner as we normally do on FPL.team. But before we do that, let's talk about our partners that have been with us the whole season, Fantasy Football Scout. So, Fantasy Football Scout is a fantastic members area, and I keep preaching about it, but I'm going to do it some more today as well. Fantasy Football Scout is fantastic. It's helped me elevate my FPL game. It helps me with all kinds of stats that basically would make decisions otherwise, and more times than not, when I've used the stats available, they've basically made the correct decision for me. So yeah, it is very, very useful. There's heat maps and all sorts in the members area. They have a new beta version in there as well, so that you can check out what the new layout looks like. Looks a bit different. It looks pretty cool. And then you also have the custom stats tables, which is my personal favorite. We use those on the deadline stream for like goals imminent table, like how weak defenses are, all that sort of stuff. So we'll be seeing those on the deadline stream as well. Make sure to check it out. Links in the description below, or on, if you're here watching this on Twitch, where we do all our live streams, it'll be in the about section below as per normal. But without further ado, let's see how the free hit team did in Black Game Week 30. Just dropped something on the floor, so we'll pick that back up. So yeah, it did pretty good, I think. It did pretty good. Also, shout out to Steve84 Staples for following while we're offline, and Lovely Hearthstone, thank you for following as well. Man, the good old days of Hearthstone when it was actually good. Unfortunate. But yeah, this was a free hit team. We did pretty good. We captained Kane. Kane got us 26 points with the armband. Captaining Son would have been better, because he would have got us an extra 4 points. Or an extra 2, however it works out. I think it would have been an extra 2. But at the end of the day, 75 points, a nice healthy green arrow, up to 1,700. Nice round number. We were looking on for a potentially massive score had Wolves kept a clean sheet, but just the second half, after Raul Jimenez got sent off, they completely capitulated. Johnny with the goal, I was absolutely over the moon with that. Roman Saiz and Saw, just the 1-pointer there. Would have been better off had I gone like well, I wouldn't have gone Ramsdale. I would have had to go Leno, because Ramsdale didn't even play. But probably would have been slightly better with Schmeichel. But again, we got a little bit fortunate, because Martinelli didn't play, and we still were able to get 2 points off our bench because we had a free hit available, so we were able to get some playing players. Martinelli missing out, I believe, due to illness, I think it was. But overall, very successful. Johnny was a very good punt on it. One of the very few punts that we were basically able to do on the free hit. Iheanacho didn't pay off, but Saka, Son, Kane, those three are the ones that delivered the most. Arsenal defense would have done quite well as well. But all in all, a successful free hit. Had I not free hit, I think I would have only had like 4 players, and none of them was Kane, none of them was Son, none of them was Saka, and you can't, my team would have been terrible, basically. I would have had like Rafinha, who didn't play. I would have had Ait Nuri, who wouldn't have kept a clean sheet. I would have had Smith Rowe, who I think he came on, but obviously only would have got the 1 point. I would have still had Kulusevski, who would have got me 2 points. Coutinho would have got me 2 points. I think I would have Watkins too, who would have got me just the 2 points. Not sure if he got booked or not, but yeah, so I would have had an extremely low score. So yeah, wouldn't have been great. Wouldn't have been great at all. But luckily we did have the free hit. We set it up that way so that we could get it all sorted. Now let's take a look at our predictions for the week. It's double the points this week, so if we get the results right, we get a slightly more points. Where was the tweet? Here was the tweet here. I'm gonna have to rearrange this because it's a slightly smaller one. That's probably good enough right there. So let's move over here. Here we go. So these were our predictions for the tweet. We predicted Wolves to win. That wasn't ideal. Wasn't ideal at all. It looked good. Looked good for a while. Wolves were cruising. Definitely cruising. And then Raul Jimenez got 2 yellow cards, which were today's game, probably yellows, but somewhat harsh, I would say. The first one was probably more of a yellow than the second one. I would definitely admit that. The second one, he's going for a 50-50. He does whack into Meslier, to be honest. And it is a bit unfortunate, but yeah, Wolves just defensively just completely capitulate. I don't know how getting a striker sent off means you can see 3 randomly all of a sudden. Because I've seen Wolves go down to 10 men before, and they've been invincible, basically, at the back. So, yeah, a bit unfortunate there. The way we do our predictions, though, is we have... must not have done... I didn't write down my predictions for Gameweek 29. Interesting. Maybe we didn't do that. I'll have to find those later. Either that or I just didn't write them down. Can't remember what they were. But the way the scoring works is... Well, it's 3 points for the exact score, or in this case, this week, it's 6 points. It's also 1 point for a result, or in case this week, it's 2 points. So if you got you guessed a win and it was a different scoring win, then you would still get the point. And then 0. Obviously, 2 times 0 is still 0. So yeah, we got nothing for the Wolves-Leeds game, unfortunately. Arsenal-Villa, we predicted a 3-2 win for Arsenal. It ended up being just a measly 1-0. Saka scoring that one. So we get 2 points for that instead of the normal 1. Leicester-Brentford. Brentford, put on a little bit of a show. Potentially could have got back in that one. Leicester were very much fortunate, I think, on their 2 goals they got. One was a worldie and one of them was a free kick. I mean, moments of brilliance, fortune, whatever you want to call it, but those goals aren't going to happen every day. Brentford came back, had a good goal of their own, well-worked goal, and then were pushing at the end, but just couldn't get it over the line. So we didn't get anything from that. And then Spurs, we also got 2 points we predicted. 2-1 ended up being 3-1. Clean sheet, Wolves, no. Saw, no. Justin, unfortunately not. I don't think he got any returns. No, he didn't. Ericsson, I don't believe, was involved in the Brentford goal. No, it was Brian Mbeumo, funny enough. Yeah, and our predictions for our differential picks were all a big fat 0. So very hard for the predictions for the blank game week and the predictions that week. So which was a bit interesting. So just the 4 points. So back to normality. So if we would have doubled that across 8 to 10 games, we probably would have got around, like I said, the 4 or 5 points with the double of the point scoring. Maybe we would have got an exact score in there somewhere. So, but definitely not the most ideal. But we want to forget about that. That was a long time ago. Let's move on to this week's predictions, because I know everyone's looking to talk about. Everyone's looking to talk about the double gaming coming up this week, and especially for future plans going into 33. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. I'll move this across like this, just so we can see everything. All right, there we go. Oh, I gotta move it in a little bit, just so you can at least see the teams a little bit. Slide this down. Can we bring it up a little bit more? Move it over just a touch. Yeah, that's about right. At least you can still see the logos. That's what we want at the end of the day. At least we can see the logos. Right. So, predictions for this week. If you aren't familiar, we do our predictions over, or at least I put my predictions over on fantasyfootballcommunity.com. So that's fantasyfootballcommunity.com, spelled the normal way you would, all one word. And we post our predictions over there. We do it every week. At least they're usually predicted over there, or they're usually posted out on Twitter from the Fantasy Football Community Twitter page as well. But we'll run through with them for you now. So, Watford versus Liverpool. I think Trent being out doesn't really matter too much. I think Watford are probably going to go down, almost certainly, potentially even in last place over Norwich. And I think Liverpool are going to win this game quite comfortably. I think Salah, doesn't matter if he's been defeated in another penalty shootout by Senegal. Even with the crazy laser light show, he had stuff thrown at him by Senegal fans as he was walking off the pitch, which was, or wherever, whoever the fans were, that was just a whole mess, to be honest. They need to kind of get control of that sort of stuff, because when Mane goes to take his penalty, there's no lights on him, because I guess it must have been in Senegal, maybe, which would have been a bit unfair, I think. I think playoffs of that sort should be played at like a neutral ground, potentially, especially in one-offs, but yeah, it's a bit weird. Regardless, I think Liverpool are going to beat Watford quite comfortably. I think 3-0 is the scoreline. That's what I predicted. Brighton versus Norwich. I think this is just a matter of Brighton going to need to get 3 points. I think they haven't been playing great, but I think they're better than Norwich. So I predicted a 1-0. I think Brighton will probably keep a clean sheet in this one. They should keep a clean sheet in this one. If they don't, then they're probably not going to win the game. They'll probably get a draw at most, I think, because of the fact that they don't score very many goals or haven't been doing recently. Burnley versus Man City. I think it's pretty straightforward. Every time Man City play Burnley, more so at home, they typically do quite well. So I think Man City will win this one 3-0. Very, very straightforward. Chelsea versus Brentford. Similar-ish scoreline, a 2-0 though. I think Chelsea will be quite comfortable. I think they're much better defensively than the likes of Leicester. I don't think they're going to concede. I think on set pieces they're much stronger, obviously, than Leicester, which Brentford are pretty good on for the most part. I'm not sure the fitness and availability of some of their players, however. We'll have to check that. Let's actually take a look. Many of their defenders, really. So the only one that's actually flagged is Chilwell. Christensen, I think he was spotted in training. I'm not sure. Or maybe it was Chalobah. I can't remember. But Reece James was definitely spotted in training as well. So that does bode well for them. Whether he comes straight back in, that's a whole different story. And I think Chelsea should win the game comfortably. I think they'll keep a clean sheet. And I think Chelsea will probably firmly get third. Maybe they can get closer to Liverpool and Man City as they try to duke it out. But I think more so Chelsea will be probably locked into third in a couple of games' time. And it's just going to be a fight for fourth. And then a fight for first and second, really. And they'll kind of just be chilling for the most part. And look towards the Champions League, where they have a very difficult draw ahead of them. They have to beat Real Madrid across 2 legs. Then they'll most likely have to play Man City, who are probably going to beat Atletico Madrid, I would say. Or if I had to guess, I would say that would be the case. Then they have to beat Man City in a semi-final across 2 legs. And then probably in a one-off game, they'll have to beat either Bayern or Liverpool if they manage to get through that. So very, very tough road for them. Very tough road for them indeed. And I think they'll probably, once they have third place pretty much settled. I mean, they more or less have it settled now, but they don't want to be dropping silly points to Brentford, and I think they won't do that. Leeds versus Southampton. This one I found hard to call, but I went with the Southampton 2-1. I think Southampton can expose Leeds. They do move the ball quickly. They do play nice football, or Leeds attempt to play nice football under Jesse Marsch. They have, but they still have the defensive frailties. I think Southampton, maybe they get one off a set piece or something. Maybe a James Ward-Prowse corner of some kind could cause Leeds some problems, as they haven't been great. I think they're bottom 3 for like defensive set pieces in the league, with like Man United. I think Man United's in the bottom 5. I know Leicester's near the bottom, if not at the bottom, and Leeds are around there too. And Southampton are decent on set pieces, and they have a very good set piece taker. So I went with 2-1. I think Southampton will win this one. Wolves versus Villa. This one again, another tricky one. Wolves, you would think, will want to bounce back from their defeat versus Leeds. They are at home. I just think Villa will nick it. I think it's going to be a very close game, and I think it could end up in a 1-1, but I think Villa will just have enough to get over the line and get themselves a goal here. Extra over Wolves, whether it be a 1-0 or a 2-1. I think it's only going to be a 1-goal difference between the two teams, and I think Villa will potentially nick this one. I just think, Watkins scored for England as well, so that's probably going to be a boost to his confidence. Coutinho been playing well, and Wolves just haven't been looking as good at the back in recent weeks. So Villa for a 2-1 victory for me on that one. United, I think, will win this one. I think 2-1. I think they need to win this game. I think they know they need to win this game. Leicester are pretty much on the beach. They might field somewhat of a rotated side because of the fact that, one, they have a lot of players coming back from injury that they don't want to potentially risk, and two, they are also still in the Conference League, which can get them a Europa League spot if they were to win the tournament. So that would be something they would probably want to prioritize, considering they can't get relegated and they can't make a European place this late on in the season based on their position. So unless they went on some mad run, which would be crazy. Yeah, I'm going to go with 2-1. Maybe Ronaldo brings Sue back to Old Trafford. We shall see. And also, it's kind of a little bit of a watch for United for potentially going into double game week 33. And we'll talk about that later on. I bought Weghorst instead of Jimenez. Should I take a -4 and buy Laporte instead of Cody? And I'm following from Egypt. Howdy. Hopefully Egypt is quite nice. Commiserations for Egypt getting knocked out to Senegal. I just think that light show is a bit ridiculous, to be honest, with the people pointing the lasers and stuff like that. But yeah. Also, there was something like saying Salah was potentially going to be retiring from international football. That would be a big shame if he did, because I think he is what drives that Egypt team to be as good as what they were. But a -4 for Laporte instead of Cody. Well, I'm just going to look at the fixtures here real quick. Wolves play Newcastle, and then Wolves don't play. So basically, you have two fixtures between the two. So Wolves play Newcastle away and Aston Villa at home, where City play Burnley away, and then they play Liverpool at home. You're probably looking at a clean sheet for City versus Burnley, and maybe a clean sheet for Cody away at Newcastle. Maybe. Probably not, though. So I think the -4 is probably worth it. I don't typically like taking a -4 for a defender. I would also probably advise it potentially because Laporte is going to be playing against Liverpool next game week. But I think longer term it is a good move, and if you're looking to keep Laporte longer term, which I think you should be, especially if you still have Cancelo. If you have Cancelo on the double up, that would be good too, because then you have a double clean sheet potentially this week. So I would say yes, that's probably worth it. And Man City will almost certainly have a double in 36. So yeah, I think Laporte should be fine. I think Laporte, the only trouble I see with potentially Laporte down the line is he's first choice, him and Diaz, and with John Stones potentially out very short term, he's going to be playing. But when it comes to the Champions League, they're going to want to prioritize that. They have to play Atletico Madrid. They're going to want to be playing the full-strength team versus Atletico Madrid, both legs. Same, basically, Man City in the Champions League have to play pretty much their full strength team every leg until if they want to win it, basically. Because Atletico's not going to be easy. United struggled heavily against them. They will sit back and they will try to hit you on the break. Man City, in the past, have tended to, in big games when teams have done that, it's been a bit difficult. That's kind of what Chelsea did in the final when they won 1-0. Kind of low ball on the break, with Werner taking the defender away, Mount playing it through the center, Havertz going through on goal and going around and beating Ederson. So they have struggled it in one-off games. Over a larger portion of games, they have done well. So that would be my only concern. But I think that with Stones injured right now, I'm not sure what Diaz's fitness is like or when he's projected to be back. 10th of April. So he's looking to be back basically next week for the most part. Because he would be the only concern. Like Diaz and Laporte are probably the first choice center backs. Stones, I don't know what Stones' injury status. Apparently doesn't even look injured. But Diaz would be the one that could potentially cause a bit of a ruckus there with picking 2 of 3 between Diaz, Stones, and Laporte. I think Laporte, for the most part, is the most valuable out of the 3 because, 1, he's probably the most in form out of the 3, and 2, he's left-footed, which Pep tends to like when playing out from the back. He likes to have left-footers in his side, and Laporte definitely fits that bill. One actual shout-out on Twitter would be FF Scout Luke, I think, or his name is @Disable Luke, something like that. He is very good at predicting the Man City team, funnily enough, because it's been a lot easier. So I would say probably check him out on Twitter. If you just look up FF Scout Luke, you'll probably find him. But I think it's called like Disable with like a 1 or something. He was actually on Black Box tonight. He was taking place for Mark, who he was red flagged, as he said. So yeah, Luke is very, very good in terms of Man City, kind of when he wants to predict the team and he puts his reasonings and whatnot. And he likes playing Pep Roulette, as it were. So yeah, hope that wasn't too long-winded, but yes, I think that Laporte probably would be good because if you're planning on keeping him for the rest of the season, then you're probably going to get a lot of clean sheets out of him. Where there's Wolves, you can't really say that. Right, moving back to the predictions. West Ham versus Everton, I think this is a pretty straightforward win. I don't think it's going to be good news for Everton fans. Sorry. I think he could be in a bit of trouble. I think West Ham win the game 2-0. Spurs Newcastle. I think this one's actually going to be closer than people think, to be honest, because I think Newcastle are playing quite well. I think they have some players coming back to fitness soon. I think Joel Linton is back, who's been a big proponent for theirs. Shelby looks to be back. Callum Wilson, when is he back? April 30th. So he's not back till probably the end of the month, so late on in the season. But they still have Chris Wood, so I think they're okay there. But they just need those guys back in there. Dan Burn is fine. When is Trippier back? Trippier's not really too sure. I think Target's still fine. Yeah, so for the most part, their team is fine. So yeah, but I think it's going to be close because I think Newcastle will give Spurs a good game, and usually when the fight is taken to Spurs, they tend to struggle, but they do have the home field advantage. So, and Spurs at home are usually quite good. It usually means good things for Son as well. So those who have Son, I would definitely be keeping hold of him, especially since he outscored Kane last week by 2 points. So yeah, and a definite candidate for the captaincy as well. And we'll look more into that on the deadline stream. Salah's very bad. It did not appear throughout the match, but he asked Klopp to start the next match, and I expect Salah will for sure score against Watford, and I wish you all the best. You too as well. I think your name is pronounced Youssef. I think I got that right, and if I didn't, I apologize. But yeah, I think Salah will do well versus Watford as well. I think he'll request to play. Salah's kind of a fitness beast, to be honest. He's very, very good. So he'll probably be saying, Klopp, get me on the pitch. We need to go win the league, basically. Because I ain't going to the World Cup, unfortunately. And he might bench Mane, be like, yeah, you've been winning too much recently. You're on the bench. I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked if Klopp actually did put Mane on the bench in preparation. When did Liverpool play their when did they play their Champions League game? Okay, so they played this week or next week Tuesday. So a week yesterday, they play Benfica in the away leg. So probably what Klopp will do is, because he knows how important the league is, what he'll do is he'll probably play full strength versus Watford. So he'll probably go like Salah. He'll probably go Salah, Mane, Jota, or something like that. Salah, Mane, Diaz, or something like that. Then he'll probably rotate versus Benfica, because I think he can get away with that. And then he's probably hoping that Trent's back for the away game at the Etihad. And there he'll play full strength, but he'll have a full week off for his team. Whereas Man City can't really do that. Man City is a bit different. So Man City at Burnley on the Saturday. They also play on the Tuesday, but they're at home, so they don't have to travel. That's one thing that they don't have to do. So Liverpool will have to travel to Portugal after Saturday, and then come back. But again, they can rest probably some of their front men versus Benfica and still be fine. Where City versus Atletico, they're going to have to play full strength. They're going to have to play the Fodens, the Mahrezes, the Sterlings, in their front line. De Bruyne in midfield. So, yeah. Going to be interesting. Definitely going to be interesting. But I still think Liverpool will do well. I think Salah will do well, assuming he starts, because he's been in a bit of a drought. He did miss his penalty as well, so he got the penalty miss out of the way. Probably didn't help that he had lasers in his eyes, but yeah. Moving on, Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. I actually, unpopular opinion, because a lot of the other FPL managers who do predictions for the fantasyfootballcommunity.com website, they predicted Arsenal to win. I predicted a draw here. I think this is a game where Arsenal could potentially slip up. I think they can be thinking, oh, we're going into international break, we're in good form, da-da-da-da-da. They come back, they think, yeah, we're just going to roll over Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace aren't that great. They're not really vying for any spots, and Crystal Palace go and get a result. I think it's possible. And I think Crystal Palace can do well. I think Conor Gallagher is... I mean, he was man of the match in England's first game. And I think he's just... it was one of the games that he played. He was amazing, basically. Really, really, really experienced looking player for someone who's only 22, I think he is. And he could cause Arsenal some problems. Also, being a product of Chelsea, he'll want to upset the Arsenal apple cart, as it were. So I'm going to go with a 1-1. And then lastly, of all the games, we got Burnley versus Everton. Burnley versus Everton is the only extra fixture in the game week of the double game week. And not the most exciting. But I actually went with a 1-1. I think this is one of those games, again, when teams are fighting down the bottom against Burnley, Burnley typically get a result out of it. And I just think Everton haven't been scoring many goals. Not really sure where they're coming from, and I think Burnley will just get Everton will probably score, but Burnley will also get a goal as well. So I think it's just going to end up in a draw. So I went with a 1-1. Clean sheets this week. I think I'm going to go with we'll go back to normality. I'm going to go with Chelsea versus Brentford for my clean sheet this week. In goal, who am I going to go for my goalkeeper this week? Let me just move that out of the way. Who am I going to go for my goalkeeper this week? I'm trying to think of a goalkeeper that's not very well owned, but could potentially get a clean sheet. Just looking at my predictions here. Maybe Fabianski. How well owned is Fabianski? He's 5 million. 2.7% owned. Let's go for Fabianski. I think he's got a potential to get a clean sheet versus Everton. 2.7% owned. Fixtures are pretty good for for the rest of the season, pretty much. Only 5 million, so it's easy to move to cheaper alternatives or in the ballpark of the mid-price ones. And you just need somebody to cover him for 34 and 35 and 37. That'd be it, really. So, yeah. But some good fixtures overall. So if you have him and a cheaper goalkeeper, like, let's say, I know a lot of managers might still have, or probably have, I have Ramsdale on my team. I could have just clicked on him. But Ramsdale, if Ramsdale's back, it was 34, 35, 37. So plays West Ham in one of those games. Man United at home, not great. And 37 plays Newcastle. But could also be a double in 36 as well. So maybe it might pay off there as a rotation. Sanchez would be another cheap goalkeeper. For his fixtures, 34-35, Southampton Wolves, you'd happily play him again in those. And then against Leeds. So that rotation could work quite well between the two of them. So one thing to consider. In defense, who am I going to go for as a cheap defender? How cheap is Reece James? Or low owned is Reece James? Very. What about Thiago Silva? Because I think he's been playing excellently. He's 8%. I want to go with a Chelsea defender and back my clean sheet, but the thing is they're all decently enough owned. So we can't go that route. Laporte. What about Laporte? Laporte's 9% owned. Trying to think who's going to potentially play at right back for Liverpool. Maybe it's a Joe Gomez, potentially. Maybe Gomez comes in and plays at right back. Was it this game that he played versus or did he play at center back that game? I can't remember. But I think Joe Gomez might come in at right back, and I'm actually going to go with him for my differential because it's not very often you get a defender that plays for Liverpool that's 0.4% owned. This is definitely a risk, so I wouldn't, if you're like doing a free hit this week, or you're like doing a transfer and then you're wild carding next week or something like that, or you just need a defender for a one-off week, because next week you're just going to bench him when he plays Man City. The following week you're going to free hit, and then after that you're going to wild card or something like that. Joe Gomez could be an answer. Whether he starts or not, I don't know, and he'll probably be playing at right back, which isn't his ideal position. But again, could be a unique differential. Midfield. What shall we go with in midfield? I think I would like to know the percentage ownership of Riyad Mahrez, please. That is who I'm going to go for. Riyad Mahrez typically plays versus Burnley. I know he was hyped up in Gameweek 8 to go against Burnley, if I remember correctly. Just 3 points there. But I'm going to go with Riyad Mahrez because I think he's very good at breaking down low block defenses like Burnley will play. He's very lowly owned, and he's quite good at football. Although I think Algeria got knocked out, which isn't ideal for him, but Mahrez is quite good. So he will probably do well versus Burnley, who are just going to let him have the ball, which is what Mahrez wants. And then forwards, this is where it gets a bit tricky, to be honest. Yeah. What's Weghorst? Because he's a double game week. 5% owned. Let's go with Weghorst. This seems like a bit of a cop-out, but I'm going to go with it just because he is... Oh, Mahrez doesn't play for Burnley. Mahrez plays for Man City. And Weghorst plays for Burnley. 5% owned. I think it's just worth it. I think there's no other forward that's going to be playing pretty much game in, game out, getting over 60 minutes at least every time. Potentially gets a potential return versus Everton. He's just going to get the 2 points probably versus Man City. Anything above that is going to be fantastic for him. 6.4 million. Not many other strikers or forwards in the game that are good. So I'm going to go with Wout Weghorst. So that is our clean sheet differential predictions as well. just going to go on Twitter and post this. Big horse. There we go. Put a little picture. And off we go. Right. So we don't need that anymore. That can go away. Now, let's move over to the team. So this is what the team currently looks like. We have a couple of flags in the team, but we have cover for our goalkeeper at least. So if Ramsdale's not back, we still have Mendy, who we're going to play anyway. Also Mendy again. Another penalty shootout win. Vying for his penalty shootout status at Chelsea. Come any more penalty shootouts they may get into the rest of the season over the likes of Kepa Arrizabalaga. That's a mouthful. So yeah, this is how the team would line up. So we'd have Mendy in goal with Rudiger on the double up. We'd have double Liverpool defense with Trent and Robertson. Unfortunately, Trent might not play by the looks of it. Cancelo in defense. For Man City, we have Rafinha, Salah, who would be our captain, Kulusevski, Coutinho, Watkins, and Weghorst with the vice captaincy, with Ramsdale, who's probably not going to play, or might not play, Dennis, Smith Rowe, and Ait-Nouri. So, very, very weak bench. So we probably have to, address the Trent situation, because Smith Rowe could easily be benched, Ait-Nouri could easily be benched, and Dennis plays Liverpool. So we probably want to put in somebody solid in there. Salah's going to be our captain. So here's some issues. We don't have Kane. We don't have much Arsenal. We don't have Son. We don't have Doherty if we wanted him. A Man City mid probably would be nice. So yeah, a bit difficult at the moment. So what can we do? Well, let's actually move over to the FPL. So this is FPL.team. Very, very useful tool. FPL.team. It basically, you can plan out your team and see what your team's going to look like every week. You can use chips down here. So if I was going to pre-hit, it would basically give me infinite transfers. If I was wildcarding, give me infinite transfers, all that sort of stuff. And the site's evolved quite a lot, actually, over recent weeks. So it's doing quite well. And much, much better and getting better by the day. So it's fantastic. We put Mendy in goal because that's what we would do. Smith Rowe would probably drop to the bench for Watkins. So this is how our team is currently set up. So what are some options that we could do? Well, if Trent's injured, we could just do a straight swap. If we wanted to do that and we knew that Reece James was back, he would probably be our preferred target. We could bring in Reece James. We'd have a Chelsea triple up. Or we could bring in a more longer term pick and go for Laporte, as Youssef mentioned in the chat, would be a good option. Also, if you look here, you see how before it would have shown like me doing multiple transfers. Now if I take out the same player and put in somebody different, it only shows the one transfer, which is quite nice. The site's actually good for that as well. So, excuse me. So Laporte would be someone that we could utilize. What we could also do with that extra money is we can upgrade elsewhere. So if we wanted to take a hit, we could basically bolster our bench a little bit. We can get rid of the likes of Smith Rowe. We can upgrade him. we can go to an 8.6 million midfielder. So we could go, just can't get Mahrez, but probably Foden, 7.8 million. We could go Saka, who we don't have. We could just downgrade and go to Gordon if we wanted to. Get a double game week player in there, play him over Watkins. And we'd have 4.1 million. If we wanted to take the extra hit after that, if we really, really wanted to, we could get rid of Watkins. We'd be just short of Kane. So we wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to downgrade Laporte to somebody even cheaper. I think we can do Doherty and go from Watkins straight to Kane. Yeah, we would have 0.1 left in the bank. So we would do Kane. He would play over Coutinho probably. Maybe over Rafinha. But that would be for -8. That would, 1, fix our Spurs problem that we have. 2, would bring in an extra double game week player, which is quite nice. And it would set us up better. The only problem is that if we wanted to get Trent, if we wanted to get Reece James back, if we wanted to go to Laporte, we would have to spend another hit to do so. So that plan I don't necessarily like too much. I think we're just going to have to deal with not having Kane. I think that's what we're going to have to do. Another thing, I'm just testing it. Oh, this undo button, it does the most recent thing. Oh, that's pretty cool. I did not see that. That's quite useful instead of resetting every time. So if I undo, should put the captaincy on Kulusevski. Cool, that makes sense. So if Trent's still injured, we could still go from Trent, but we can go to somebody that's like super, super cheap if we wanted to go. We could go like an MRT. We could go, if we really wanted to, and we thought like, you know, maybe they were going to do some shenanigans with Liverpool and have like Tsimikas playing left back and then put Robertson at right back. That could be something that we could do. Because then we could just bench him afterwards and wildcard him out. And then we could get rid of Watkins and bring in Kane. That would be for -4. Again, Tsimikas could be a Marty because he's just as cheap. So Amarty would be someone who's playing. He wouldn't be ideal for this week because he plays Man United, which isn't great. But we can get somebody up to 4.4 million, so we can go for somebody a bit cheaper. So let's see who's in that bracket. If we could drop it down to 4.4. There we go. So no one really of any use. Maybe Cedric from Arsenal. Probably not ideal though. Brighton or Webster, if he's available, just for the Norwich game would be of some use. A Burnley defender, if like a Loughton or somebody like that is available, or Peters or whoever. Let me actually check the Burnley defenders now that I'm thinking about it. I'll check Brighton first because they're right here. Webster's flagged, so probably not great to go him. Maybe Veltman. Burnley. So Peters is flagged. Ben Mee is flagged. Loughton looks to be available. Mind you, he hasn't played basically any games because I think it was not Bards. It was this Roberts guy has been playing game in, game out. So maybe we go for him instead if I was going to go a Burnley defender. So where is Roberts? There he is. So yeah, Roberts would come in and we would do something like that. Again, that'd be a -4. That would bring in Kane. That'd be for exact money. But it still wouldn't solve our bench being weak problem. It would also mean that we would have Nout in the bank. And if we wanted, again, to reach James, immediately we couldn't do it unless we downgraded elsewhere. It still means we didn't have Saka. We don't have Son if we want him. We still have Coutinho, who's somewhat of a weak link at the moment, although I think versus Wolves they should be okay. Spurs could be tricky, but their fixtures after that are okay, so potentially might be a hold. So we'll undo Watkins, we'll undo Trent. Another thing we can also do is if we just wanted to bench Trent. So let's say Trent's not available. And we wanted to go, let's say, we can go Ait-Nouri to another defender. Let's say we go for, if we wanted to go, we could go straight to Laporte, I believe. I gotta put the price back up. Laporte is exact money for Ait-Nouri right now, and we would play Laporte. I mean, we would play all of them just in case, but we would play Laporte instead of Trent. Like that, and we would just play our Aston Villa boys versus Wolves, who haven't been that great, and that would be just for a free transfer. That could be something that we would do. If we wanted to hang on to Trent and we thought that he was going to be back for the Manchester derby, at least if that's the prognosis. Again, they play Man United at home in 33, which, if you go off last time, was a good fixture for them. So maybe get rid of Trent in the wildcard and back in for 35 is potentially the play. So if I just undo that, another potential option is if we wanted to go like a Liverpool mid. So if we thought like a Jota or somebody like that was going to be playing, we could just go Coutinho straight to Jota. And then we would downgrade Trent to like a Reece James or something like that. Or look, this could be Laporte as well. Doesn't really matter too much. They could be either. And then that would be for -4 as well. We'd still have triple Liverpool. We could then get rid of Jota and go for a Man City mid afterwards if we figure that he's rotation. He could be quite risky for rotation. Let's go to Liverpool. Firmino's fit. Diaz is fit. Jota's fit. Salah's fit. Mane's fit. So it might be a bit difficult predicting who we're looking at there for that. So that might be a bit of an issue in terms of picking the correct midfielder that would be ideal for us. I'm just trying to see if there's one way to just kind of do a nice transfer, make it clean, and just kind of go with the flow almost, and see how our team looks. So let's say Reece James is back, because that would be the dream move in my opinion. Trent out, Reece James for Trent, bang, in he goes. One transfer, and we got a boatload of money in the bank. There is another move that we could do. So if we brought in Watkins for Harry Kane, we'd need to get 0.8 million somewhere. We could then do Smith Rowe down to a Gordon if we wanted to. That would be for -8. We would then put in Gordon instead of probably Coutinho, which I wouldn't feel too great about. If we did, instead of Reece James, if we did Laporte, if we put Smith Rowe back in, so obviously we'd still be 0.4 million off. If we were still to do this, we could just go Trent straight down to Doherty, Watkins out for Kane, and that would be just for a -4, clean and simple. But it wouldn't allow us to. It wouldn't allow us to get Reece James easily if we wanted to afterwards, which I kind of want to do if he's available. Mind you, we could always take Robertson out next week. So if I did that, let's say we do that for a -4. I think Frazier's better than Gordon. How much is Frazier? I don't even know. 5.3. Okay. He does have a double as well. So maybe potentially Fraser in for the double instead of Smith Rowe, maybe. Because Smith Rowe is just kind of not really going to be playing in the double, I don't think. But let's say we do that. That's for -4. So that's Trent down to Doherty. Kane in for Watkins. We would be without Son, obviously, which wouldn't be, the most ideal. Because we'd really want Kane. But we do have Kulusevski, Doherty. The only player that would probably burn us from Spurs would be Son. But we have the 3 there, and it looks quite good. So this would be Gameweek 32. How does our team look for 32? Well, we would have Kane for probably the captaincy, I would think. Coutinho versus Spurs. Probably not ideal. Frazier, Newcastle play Wolves at home. Maybe that's something we go for. Maybe this is where we bring in Saka. Or we look to bring in Saka. And maybe we have to sacrifice Coutinho for it. Because we can always wildcard Coutinho back in 35 if it looks like he's going to be good. Right? So he just missed the Spurs game. He would miss Leicester away as well. What did they do versus Leicester last time? He didn't play versus Leicester, so he probably do quite well. So maybe Coutinho would come out, and we'd bring in Saka to prep us for the double. Also, Brighton at home wouldn't be a bad shout. Maybe give him the vice captaincy just for fun. And that team's pretty much well set up. I don't think Salah's going to do much damage versus City and vice versa. I think there's also arguments for putting in Dennis, maybe because he plays Leeds at home. But yeah, so the summary so far looks like this. So we got Trent, Doherty, Watkins, Kane. Now this is probably around where Trent could be coming back into the fold. This is double game week 33. So we put in Ramsdale. We just probably put in Smith Rowe just because. Maybe he gets 1 start, 1 off the bench. And then Kane versus Brighton at home. Or do we go something real spicy? And we get rid of Kane for that 1 week. And we go for Ronaldo. And just hope that Ronaldo turns up and just is a beast. Martinelli instead of ESR if you want to keep Coutinho. Yeah, that's true as well. Because Martinelli's a similar price. So let me undo that. So undo. Yeah, so we would just go Smith Rowe because I don't think we. Yeah, Saka's slightly too expensive. So we can go Smith Rowe to Martinelli then in for Coutinho, something like that. We play Robertson and Cancelo just because they're good, right? Coutinho does them blank. So maybe this is where we do some interesting things. Maybe we go Ramsdale would go in goal, obviously. We could easily just play Dennis instead of Rafinha. Don't really like that too much. Madison or Barnes. Yeah, that is true. Maybe we go for Harvey Barnes. Put him in there. Maybe we go for maybe we go for a Newcastle forward. Because who are the doubles in that week? Newcastle double, Leicester double, Everton. Everton doesn't. Brighton do, but it's bad. Arsenal do. So yeah, maybe we just go like Rafinha to like Saka then, maybe. And then we play Saka over. Maybe this is when we would play Saka. We would probably play Saka over. Do we play him over Robertson? Maybe probably over Doherty. And you go for something like that. Captain for the week would be very interesting. So yeah, some very tough decisions, to be honest. I do like the Doherty and Kane move I couldn't do initially because I was thinking about like potentially removing somebody different in a way, but now that Trent's potentially injured, that could change it. Also, this double game week, I don't think it's the greatest. I would have triple Arsenal, which would be good, which is what you want. I have a Leicester midfielder, and I still have Weghorst, which is fine. Tierney or White is better than Doherty, maybe. I'm gonna open up a different tab here. So if we go, so Mendy would be in. Watkins is currently in for Smith Rowe. So if we did Trent to, can I even go Tierney? And then do Watkins to Kane? No, I can't. I'd have to go down further than Tierney. So you go for Ben White. Wait, how was I able to get Kane before? Huh? Hold on. I'm confused. So if I got rid of Trent for Ben White. Oh, I don't know what happened there. Calculations messed up or something. And then brought in Kane. Then White would set us up for the double. And then we play Kane over Smith Rowe. Yeah, that'd probably be that's also an option, yes. Doherty's is a bit more exciting though, isn't he? But it would set us up better. We could also even. I mean, we can still get Reece James. We can still get Reece James. So we could take a -8 if we wanted to. We could get Kane, White, and Reece James. And then how would that set us up the next week? So next week we would have Ben White, who would come in. What do we need to play Ben White? I don't think we need to play Ben White. I mean, we play Ramsdale. Maybe you can argue to play Ben White over Coutinho. Or we just save the transfer, Captain Kane, right? That team looks fine. Yeah, we don't like the City versus Liverpool players playing against each other, but that's fine. Then the following game week, we got Ben White in. So Ben White comes in instead of Rafinha. We could get rid of Coutinho. Bring in Barnes. And get rid of Smith Rowe. And bring in Saka? No, just short. Martinelli we could do. Yes, that's the only disadvantage if we went Ben White, is that we couldn't go... probably put him ahead of Robertson, probably. Would be that we couldn't go like Saka and Martinelli if we wanted to. Just because of Smith Rowe, right? That would be our only issue, because we'd have Ramsdale, White, you know. Wouldn't be ideal. So, yeah. Be a tough one. But, yeah, that's enough tinkering for now. I'm thinking about doing one of the lineup preview videos as well for tomorrow. So, hopefully I can do that for you. And then we'll have the deadline stream on the Saturday, where I'll probably still be racking my brain over different things. But I'm waiting for the manager press conferences anyway. I'll have a little bit of a tinker more, but we've explored some ideas. We've seen some things that I wasn't even considering at the moment. And shout out to you all in the chat as well. It's been fantastic. Giving me some ideas that not even I knew about. So, and potentially worth exploring. So, yeah. But before we sign off, let's talk about Fantasy Football Scout one more time. So, Fantasy Football Scout is a fantastic members area. It's great. It's going to help me. I'm going to go look at some stats probably at some point this week before the deadline stream to see what potentially looks to be the best on paper. Is Saka the out-and-out best choice for Arsenal, or is Martinelli better? Who's the best defender maybe for Arsenal? Laporte, is he actually nailed on? I'll have to go check out Luke's comments on what he thinks for Man City. Is Reece James going to be back? Is he potentially captainable as well? That's something we didn't talk about much. I think potentially people are looking at Salah and Kane, but there could be some defenders this week that could have some pretty nice hauls as well. So we will explore those as well going into the game week deadline stream as well. But yeah, Fantasy Football Scout will give you all the tools you need to help elevate your FPL games. Make sure to check it out. Link in the description if you're watching this VOD over on YouTube, or you can check it out in the About section here on Twitch. So yeah, that's going to do it for the Game Week 31 preview stream. If you haven't done so already, like, comment, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll be back hopefully with a video tomorrow, or I'll post it on Friday potentially. Either or. Hopefully, I think I'm going to try to see if I can do a lineup preview. I haven't done one for a while, so I think it's going to be interesting to do. And we'll probably incorporate the FPL.team as well. Just kind of some thoughts on what I'm thinking that day for potential transfers and whatnot. So, thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.